Hey, what's up, lightboltjoe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2019 comedy film, adventure drama film as well. I was going to say Clerks 3. Bro, it's been a whirlwind adventure. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. So, next is Clerks 3 in our marathon. Well, technically, I want to watch the reboot, like, making of, because I saw that somewhere. And then we'll watch Clerks 3. Now, my question a few reviews ago was, what is the moment in the Viewist universe, the Jay and Silent Bob slash Viewist universe, that ends the second phase? Because Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back was very much the end of phase one, basically. And I was curious where phase two would end. And this is definitely a phase two ending, leading into the next stuff. So Clerks 3 brings about the next stuff, and will stuff happen after that? We shall see. Now, Brody Bruce, played by Jason Lee, is back in this. His Brody's Secret Stash comic shop has now moved to the mall, so we get another beautiful Mallrats reference and such. We get the explanations of reboot versus remake, thanks to Jason's character of Brody Bruce. Love Brody Bruce. We start out in Jersey. We start out outside the Quick Stop, right outside the RVS video rental. And so it's a matter of, why is Jay and Silent Bob going back to Hollywood, right? So it turns out that Saban Films is now the owners of the names Jay and Silent Bob, as well as the film rights, because of Justin Long's lawyer character that we know and love from Zack and Miri Make a Porno in the Viewist universe titling, makes his Jay and Silent Bob debut within regards to this. So he has them inadvertently sign their names away, and then wins a case for them, and then goes around the bench to then be the opposite side lawyer, claiming that since Saban Films owns the rights to Jay and Silent Bob, the film series, the property, as well as the names, they are no longer allowed to be Jay and Silent Bob. So the quest then is to stop this movie reboot from happening of the Jay and Silent Bob film, which is really a Blunt Man and Chronic film remake. So they want to stop the film. How dare they remake the film? How dare they take their names away? How dare they cannot use their names? So that's the premise. So then it's another, whirlwind adventure. How do you get from point A to point B to point C? So in this case, they wind up using rideshare apps because it's 2019. So they're trying to integrate some modern stuff into the mix. We pit stop in Illinois. We're in Chicago. We get another flashback of, them talking about Sherman, Illinois, a la the John Hughes marathon, which brought them to Illinois the first time around. So then they meet up with Justice as well, and Justice Falcon as well, who's now a TV weather person in Chicago, who has a daughter. And it turns out that it's Jay's daughter all along, that it's been 18 years since Jay and Silent Bob, last saw Justice, because Justice then went to prison. And so they haven't seen her in 18 years. And it turns out that she conceived Jay's child. And then here we have Harley Quinn Smith, Kevin Smith's daughter, playing Jay's daughter. Hysterical. Perfect. So it's the wonderful eclectic group then migrating off to other adventures, getting to California. But it turns out that we have Rosario Dawson's character, a different character, not the Becky character from Clerks 2, but this new character is actually married to Justice. And it's neat. It's neat having all of the actors come together again and do stuff together. I just love seeing it. I love everybody have a good time. We then eventually get to California after multiple chaos in between. And we spent a lot of time in Hollywood. We spent a lot of time at Chronicon. We meet a lot of characters we haven't seen again. Matt Damon as Loki is back from Dogma, briefly. We get his characters, what happened next, kind of a thing. Holden is back doing a podcast for the con. Holden played by Brad Pitt. And then you have Joey Adams back playing Alyssa. And Alyssa and her wife asked Holden to be the sperm donor for their child, and they're all one happy unit, and they named their daughter Amy after the whole Chasing Amy bit, because the comics that he wrote, that was based on their relationship, and the girl who plays Amy is actually Jay Muse's daughter in real life, Logan Muse. So to have Harley Quinn Smith and to have Logan Muse in this property with their dads, I mean, nepotism aside, it's just so cool seeing it. It's so neat having this family unit for 25 years worth of projects come together and just continue to do it. I got so choked up and teared up having Joey and Ben standing with Logan on the stage, because it's just a whole culmination bit. It's a sequel to it's a sequel to Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. This movie was a sequel to Chasing Amy in regards to character development. It was a sequel to Clerks. Where was Randall Graves in all of this, right? Where was he the entire time? You had Brian O'Halloran back as Dante Hicks, but where was Jeff's character of Randall? Where was he? So obviously we get him in Clerks 3, so maybe there'll be some explanation of that. It was just nice then having the big culminations at the end and masks coming off, and this shirt was featured heavily in this. I saw this film once back in 2019 when it was in theaters, and I don't remember if I bought the shirt before I saw the movie or if I bought the shirt after I bought the movie. I don't remember that. I probably wrote it down somewhere in a journal. I'd have to dive deep back to 2019. But I was freaking out. I was like, haha, my shirt is in the film. I have the shirt. And they explained the whole integration of diversity, welcoming others instead of just, cishet white guys, cisgendered heterosexual white guys, keeping up with the film. And Joey pokes a little nudge at that, where Chasing Amy, the comic book, is now being adapted for a Netflix TV series from the queer female perspective, as it should have been all along, not from the cis white gendered male perspective. And it was just like, yes, awesome. As I've said 1,000 times within regards to these Kevin Smith projects, most of them, and my only problems were with the cartoons, the Jay and Silent Bob Super Groovy cartoon movie and the Jay and Silent Bob, the Clerks TV series. The two cartoon versions of Jay and Silent Bob properties I had problems with. But everything else has seemed to be the gruff meets the glory. And I've said that a few times. But as the times progress and the character development continues, there's corrections. You can't say these things anymore. We shouldn't be thinking this way anymore. This is how we move forward. And they talk about these things. That whole conversation that we have with Becky, Randall, and Dante in Clerks 2 in movies, where Randall can't say these racist things anymore because they've always been bad, and just because he thinks that they were okay because his grandma said it doesn't make them okay. So it's a matter of change. It's a matter of growth. It's a matter of development. It's such an awesome thing seeing that, and to have. See, it's a double-edged sword, because you have this main group of girls. Harley Quinn Smith plays Jace's daughter in this, Justice's daughter in this, and then you have 3 of her friends. One turns out to be a Russian spy all along, which is a funny twist. But you have this Chinese actress playing that character. You have this deaf girl, and you have this Muslim girl, and you have this deaf black girl, and you have this Muslim girl. So you have these specific character placed individuals of different ethnicities or backgrounds, because it was not a thing in the prior films. So having that integration, that modernization, is what the purpose of the reboot was. And Jason Lee's character Brody goes into that reboot. What's the point of a reboot and things of that nature, bringing the familiar property to the masses of now, modernize it, make it young, make it relevant. How do you do it? And that's how you do it. So it's interesting, and I say double-edged sword because it had to be done to make it relevant, but it should have been that way the whole time to begin with. But that wasn't the group of people. That group of people wasn't as diverse making these projects way back now. And now that they have the means of doing so, bringing it to a wider audience, it was a great explanation of why we're doing these things. How can we appropriately do these things? And just because we have to do these things, will it make sense? And it did make sense. I was very happy to see it. I was all for the modernization of the project. Some parts of this film were slow. I'm not going to lie. Some parts were slow. But the Comic-Con, the Chronic Con scenes were just so wonderful. And then the father-daughter and then Jay and Silent Bob moments at the end in front of the quick stop, as Dante is still trying to figure out why there's gum in his locks that he can't open the quick stop. It's just a cool end of the beginning kind of a thing. So that's why I'm referencing this as the end of phase 2 of the View Askew universe, Jay and Silent Bob marathon that we're doing. So we're going to watch the making of this. Schnoogans or Snoochie Boochie something. I don't remember what it's called. It's on Vudu. I got to pull up the name. Then we're going to watch Clerks 3. I think that's it. I think my marathon comes to an end of our Jay and Silent Bob marathon, and I'm very upset already. But I did not, and we're going to talk about this again when we finish our final review. But I didn't think I would get so emotional watching these films when I'm watching them consecutively, one right after each other. It's just interesting. You go into something with one mindset, and then something happens, and you're like, huh, that's unexpected. And then you go with it. Go with the motions. The dish is served. Wonderful little expression that they do. Jay and Silent Bob Reboot, 2019. Awesome film. On to the next review. Mahalo.